A trailblazer to me is someone who's a leader who doesn't follow the crowd and blazes the trail for others to follow.
Trailblazers give me hope, they give me inspiration, they give me passion, and they help me accomplish goals.
Someday I want to be a trailblazer.
When I grow up, I'm going to be a trailblazer.
I'm going to be a trailblazer.
We're going to be.
I'm going to be a trailblazer. I am going to be a trailblazer. My mom, Angie, born and raised up in Globe, Arizona, just like her children. She was the first child from her siblings to graduate from high school. And so as a result of that, education always became a very important part of what she believed in for her children and her community, and especially Hispanic children.
One of my fondest recollections of my aunt was that any time we made the honor roll, and back then they would print it in the weekly newspaper, the Arizona Record, the week after the honor roll was announced, and if our name was in the record, then she would give us $1. And it was always given very cheerfully and lovingly with a big smile and a hug, and she would tell us that she was proud of us. And it was a long time later that I realized how much that dollar meant to her, because I didn't know it at the time, but we were pretty poor. And so $1 to a family in the 1950s meant a lot. But that was something that she insisted that all of us do, was get a good education.
She always thought that when she was growing up that they were not given equal opportunity in the educational system, and so she made that her mission to make sure that all children had equal access to education, and if they wanted to go on to a higher degree, that was made available to them. It
was her passion to make sure that the underserved, the neglected, the downtrodden in society all had worth, and that if you just looked for it and encouraged people, that they could find ways to help themselves. She didn't want to give anyone a handout. She wanted to give people a hand up. And I think that made the difference in people like my Aunt Angie.
Angie just had an intuitive sense about things that needed to be done, and certainly as a school board member and then as a school board president, she was never hesitant to make a statement. She was first to note things, and so she was just possessed of that kind of almost an innate understanding of who she was and that she was someone that could be a leader.
When I was in high school, one of the counselors brought me in to do counseling with me when I was beginning my senior year in high school, and he told me that I had 3 options that were open to me. I could either get married when I got out of high school, that most Hispanic girls did that. I could go to beauty school or come to Mesa and work at Motorola. And I went home and told my mom what was offered to me, and of course, she hit the ceiling. She said, "You're bright, you have a good future, but I don't like what was told to you." She became very active in the community, becoming active in committees and so forth in town. She was urged to join the school board, and she won by a landslide that year. And the rest is history. She never looked back. She took on assignments, stood by herself on a lot of issues within the school board. She fought for children, for their rights, the right to play in the playgrounds, the right to take advanced classes, and she made it a point to get a good counselor within the high school that understood the Hispanic, children's needs.
She was a big part of changing the face of the Globe Unified School District, and indeed even in the community in which she grew up and later lived, because she could speak to those memories of segregated communities, places that we couldn't go to or things that were not the same. Angie changed the face of the school district so that it served all people and served them well, and I think she would say that that's the thing that she wants to be remembered for.
One of my mother's greatest accomplishments on her school board tenure of 13 years was the new sports facility up on the hill in Globe. Beautiful facility. They have graduations there now, football games, and the sport facility for the children inside is just beautiful.
What made my Aunt Angie a trailblazer was that when she first ran for school board, she was willing to take on the social structure in the Globe Unified School District that at the time was basically dominated by a longtime superintendent and a school board that was all white. And Angie was the first Mexican, Hispanic, who had the temerity to run against that structure and to beat them. And because of that, in that small community, she has nieces and nephews, relatives all over Arizona in the Southwest who recognize that and were willing to take a step behind her.
Angie was a trailblazer in the sense that she was always working toward the betterment of whatever it was that was going on. There never really was a moment of rest for her. I think as a mom, certainly, she was, thinking big picture. And as a school board member, she was thinking big picture issues. So Angie's trailblazing efforts were such that she saw something that was missing, and she would elect to go about and do what it was that needed to be done. She was not someone that would go and tell someone else, I think you need to do this. Angie would get herself elected so it could be done.
Just to be strong and go forward. That was her.